here's the first question I have. How many of you right now have a listing in inventory right now? Raise your hand. Okay, so good, most of the room. So how many of you would think that that property might need a price reduction? Any? Oh, so we got almost everybody. Good job, all right. So how many of you are planning on taking listings over the next 10 work weeks? Good, all right, so good. So, and is it possible that during those 10 weeks that you might need to talk to the seller about working on some kind of a price reduction, yes or no? Yes. Yeah, okay. So getting a price reduction in this marketplace, let's say as opposed to the marketplace we had at the same time last year, we may need to sharpen our skills a little bit and work on price reductions. Because right now, write this down, there are 48 work days left this year. 48 work days left. That includes giving you Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day off. You're welcome. You're welcome. There are arguments about at least working a half day on Thanksgiving Day that can be very, very productive. You will find most people home. I'm just saying. You know, your contact ratio would go way up, wouldn't it? Okay. So, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take the time today to talk about giving better customer service so that we can hold on to these properties. Because there's something going on in the marketplace. This time last year, properties were selling a little faster, right? Say yes.
Yes.
And that when you took a listing, there was a decent chance that that property could actually get an offer in a week or two and probably, likelihood, get some kind of a transaction together or certainly get something that was close, right? Say yes.
Yes.
So we had that this time last year. But over the last year or so, what happened was we lost 20% of the marketplace. You know who I'm talking about? The investors left the marketplace. Actually, the market we had last year was completely phony from this perspective. Think about this. So many of our transactions, you would have an investor go out and buy the deal. They would go in and invest their money in the transaction, fix it up, do a nice job in most cases, and then turn the property around and sell it retail to the end buyer. What we were counting as real estate agents and real estate brokers and our clients is we were counting that as two transactions, right? Right. It was really only one. It was a phony deal in between, get it? Because when the prices went up, what happened to those deals? The margins went away. And when the margins went away, that buyer went out of the market. And right now, our market is down almost exactly 20%. And the best I can calculate in terms of number of deals, and the best I can calculate, that's exactly how much business the flippers were doing. That's what they accounted for. Now, but our sellers are still expecting what? Hello? They want it to sell, and they want it to sell quick. Their neighbor sold it quick. Their neighbor sold it quick. Their neighbor sold it quick, and they got a great price for it. All of a sudden, we're coming in and saying the market's slowing down a little bit, and these things are happening. Well, there's other things that are dynamics that are going on. So what I wanted to do is I want to bring you two things. What Superstar agents are doing to keep their customers and communicate with them, and also use that technique as a technique for price reductions. You might want to take some notes, okay? Because I believe that those of you that have listings right now can use this to work with your seller to get some price reductions and get the property sold and closed before the end of the year, which might amount to a deal or 2 or 3 more that you didn't have. Or remember, Christmas is coming. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. It will be here. Your families expect you to provide. When you go out every day, their expectation is that you go out and work your hardest. Your spouse or significant other doesn't expect you to go out and do nothing. They expect you to do what? Everything you can to bring in a deal. Everything you can to bring in a deal, to work that day, to do those kinds of things that need to be done. Some of us do. Some of us need to work on that. So, we're going to go out, and we're out there, we're generating these leads, and we're working hard. Remember, prospecting is lead generating, and following up is appointment setting. Everybody with me on this?
Yes.
Okay, so you've got the lead because of a group like this, you were working on it, you created a lead, and now what you're going to do is you're going to follow up on the client. And you're following up on the client, and following up on the client, and following up on the client, and you're telling the client, I'm your guy. I'm the one that's going to be able to get that property sold for the highest price possible in the shortest period of time with the least amount of aggravation. I'm your person. I can do this. You show up on the phone. You're doing all the phone following up. You're knocking on the door. You're doing all the door following up. You're going and trying to get the listing, following up on after the appointment. Maybe they didn't give it to you. You keep following up. You're paying a lot of attention to the client. You guys get me? You see what I'm saying? We're doing that. Hopefully each of you are doing it at the highest level possible. And then you get the listing. Congratulations. Then what happens? Generally, we go to the office and we call up the sign. We go to the office and we input it into the MLS. We go to the office, and if you do advertising, etc., you get your advertising in place. You make your flyer. Either you send out a flyer to get it made by somebody else, or you sit in front of the computer and you make your flyer. Well, it's just, the picture's just not fitting in, darn it, you know? Oh, and then we got to go back over and take some more pictures because the pictures we took, you know, we didn't look at it, didn't make any sense. We spent a lot of time, effort, and energy. The client was excited the night they signed the listing with you, and they expected lots of activity and energy. And a year ago, all you had to do was put it in the MLS, and there would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 15 people showing the house. How many people are showing your listings this week? Less, huh? And the client sitting there, you've been after them for a week or 2 or 3 or 4 to get the listing, and the client hasn't heard from you for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 days. Oh, maybe the sign got put up, and they saw that. Hopefully the sign company didn't break the sprinkler when they put it in. But it's stuff like that happens, right? You know, after 40 years in business, the sign companies have put it in everywhere except where they're supposed to do it. Okay, that's just been my experience with our sign companies. It's just, that's the nature of the animal. All right? So if they're not happy with you because they haven't talked to you in 3 or 4 days, they were excited, they were enthusiastic, they thought their home was going to sell, they thought they were going to get all these offers on the property, they need to move on, and there is what? Nothing. And you're missing in action. How do they feel about you right now?
Not good.
They don't feel good. They're not thrilled with you. This is a very dangerous spot. Because when they get mad at you, then we shift from being the aggressor to being put upon. We go into the situation where they're annoyed with us. And that's not a good place to be. Everybody with me on this? Yes. We all are in control of that the moment we take the listing. Now, let's go 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks out. Let's have this conversation. Maybe you held an open house. Maybe they bugged you to hold an open house. That's even worse, okay? You going to them to do something is one thing. Them coming to you and saying, hey, what's going on? See, remember, why does the seller want you to hold an open house? They don't see you doing anything else. You guys laugh. They don't see anything. So what do they know to do? 2 things. Advertise the property in the newspaper, which we know in today's world does nothing, but they see you working, get it? And holding an open house, which is the other thing they can physically see. That's it. You guys get me? Do you see what a dangerous spot this is? Here you went out. You did everything you could do. Everything you needed to do to get the lead, to nurture the lead, to convert the lead to an appointment, to get the appointment, to get the signature. All the things we set up and train you for, and because we don't do what we're supposed to do in the rest of it, it's a very precarious place. And we're in a position where we can lose that $10, $15, $20, $30,000 opportunity very fast. Pretty depressing, Neil. What the hell did you do that for? Because I have an answer. So now, 7 weeks later, you go in because the property isn't selling, because when you went in to list the house, they didn't want to take it lower. You didn't really have the guts to tell them it should be a little bit lower because you didn't want to lose the listing opportunity. So therefore, you have to go in and ask for a price reduction. When you go in and ask for a price reduction, what's the first thing they're going to say or ask you? What have you done? What have you done? I don't want to reduce my price until I see what you've done. Where's the advertising? Where's the open houses? Where's the flyers, etc., etc. So, I'm going to walk you through what you should do. Okay. I wrote down Superstar agent system for servicing the client, and then after it, it's and getting price reductions. This is a very complicated system. You'll have to take very detailed notes. Okay, here we go. After taking the listing, go back to the office and prepare 5 or 6 envelopes to be used to facilitate in the communication of you to the client, because you're going to be sending them some mail. So let's pre-address them and pre-stamp them. Let's create 5 or 6 other envelopes that you're going to put in the mail to them that are pre-addressed to you and stamped, because all the business cards that they get at the house, you want them to mail to you. Why? Because you can follow up on them. Why else? So, because when the property expires, and it will, if it's not handled right, clients list their home with agents that have shown their home the most. And if they keep the cards, they get to sit there and count. Oh, Mary showed my house 3 times. I'm going to call Mary. I'm going to talk to Mary. You want those cards to communicate what's going on with the client, and you want those cards out of the house. You guys with me on this? You guys have no clue. Number 2, when you go in and you put the property in the MLS, I know every one of you do this. You then print it out and check it for correctness, correct?
Yes.
And make sure there is not one mistake in there, in the remarks or any place, misspellings, anything. You check it out. Then what I want you to do, this is the first night, or that next morning, I want you to print out the copy. I want you to put it in one of the 6 envelopes I had you pre-do, and I want you to mail that listing printed out to the client. So that within 48 hours of you listing the house, they see it physically at their house. You get it?
Yes.
And you should also copy the link, the MLS link, on your email and send them a copy of the link. But boy, let me tell you something. You had better read that listing before you send that out. Because if you send that out with a mistake on it, or a misspelling or something, you will hear about it. And it's already it puts you on the defensive. You never want to be on the defensive. Okay, so that's point 1. Of course, you're going to call the sign up, and you're going to make sure the sign goes up and gets onto the property in the next 2 to 3 days. That should happen. So now, you made the appointment. You had the appointment. Within 24 to 48 hours, they're getting touched by you. You get it? They're getting something in the mail and something in the email, and they're getting a sign. Doesn't feel like much, but it's activity. Then within 72 hours of listing a property, a lot of our websites are populated. So I don't know if you do this, but you should go into each website, Century 21, Century 21 Masters, CenturyRealtor.com, Trulia, Zillow. I mean, there's probably 1,000 of them. Go into some of these and look up your property and print your property out. Double check it for accuracy. Make sure it's accurate because they're picking it up from the board. But sometimes digitally, things get changed. It just happens. So what do you do with that one? You make a copy of it, and you send the client a copy. See how difficult this is and very technical? And you also send the client a copy of the link in an email. Now, my suggestion is you should pick 2 or 3 websites every day or every other day, copy 2 or 3, send it to them. 2 or 3 days later, copy 2 or 3, send it to them. So that, can you see now, in the first week, you've touched the client 3, 4, 5, 6 times, both in mail, and you've touched them in email, and hopefully, you've set up once a week in your listing presentation where you call the client and review activities, etc., what's going on a particular day. Whatever day of the week that is for you. But now you're touching the client. Things are going on. You're going to be able to hold on to this listing a little bit longer. Now, what you need to do is everything you mail to them, you keep a copy of. And you keep a copy in their copy folder. You guys with me on this so far? Okay, so you're going to keep a copy of everything, and I'll walk you through what you're going to do with that in a minute. Okay, now in our company we have an advertising department. Our advertising department gets a copy, looks up the listing. They take a look at it. They run the pictures. They get it in the advertising department. And then we run an ad on it right away. Okay, so what you need to, and we'll let the agents know when there's an ad running on it. If you aren't aware of that, check with Vivian. She'll let you know in Covina when the ads are running. What you should do then is you can get an electronic copy of that or get a regular copy, print it out, mail that to the client, and then send them an email link. So now we've sent them the advertising, we sent them the MLS, we sent them the websites. Do you see where we're going with this?
Yes.
Everybody with me on this thing?
Yes.
Okay, we're touching the client. This is what's going on. And we're keeping it in a folder. So 3, 4, 5 weeks have gone on. You've done all of this. You're communicating with your client. And the truth is that the property hasn't sold. Now, let me give you a real estate statistic. Generally speaking, if a property is being shown but no offers, it's usually about 5% overpriced. Okay? You can write that down. That's 40 years experience talking. Okay? It's just, there's no rhyme or reason for it. It just seems to work that way. If you've got no showings, you're at least 10% overpriced. Okay? That's just the reality in the world. So even though you think it's priced right, if you're getting showings but no offers, you're probably overpriced by 5% or thereabouts. All right, everybody with me? So now the day has come where you feel like you need to talk to the client and work on a price reduction. Okay, my rule. Never do a price reduction over the phone. Go in person. It's like a brand new listing appointment. Why would you do this over the phone? Well, you do need a signature, but you can get an email confirmation or something. Okay? Do this in person. You probably wouldn't do a listing presentation over the phone. Most of us wouldn't. We're not that good. Don't do this over the telephone. Set an appointment, go. Because if you do this right and you can get yourself a 5 or 6% price reduction, you probably have what? A sale that's going to sell and close before the end of the year. And there we have, woohoo, another transaction as we run through the finish line. Now, here's what you do at the appointment. You review the pre-qualifying questions with the client. You have your set of pre-qualifying questions, right? Everybody has their set. They ask the client all these questions. They keep the set. They know why the client's moving, where they're moving to, when they have to be there. They've written all of this down. Ask the questions again, because sometimes things change. And sometimes the client doesn't need to sell the house anymore and is embarrassed to tell you because you've done so much work. Wouldn't you rather know, if they don't need to sell the house, that you need to take this thing off the market and do yourself and the rest of the world a favor? Don't you need to know that? A. B, some people are embarrassed to tell you they put their house on the market because they were changing jobs. And what happened is the job fell through, they were going to, and it's a real problem because they lost their job. But people get embarrassed to tell you that. Will you go back and have this conversation? Wouldn't it be nice to know this at a presentation and be able to give them, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I had no idea. You know, what we need to do is maybe we need to get more aggressive in our pricing and really work on our price. But the first thing you do is review the pre-listing package again. All the questions, review it again. Then you take your package of information that you've been sending them every week, one of this, one website, copy of the MLS, a little bit of advertising, and because most people forget what you sent, because you could say, well, do you remember what I sent you? I've been sending it over the last 5 or 6 weeks. What could they say? No. They'll forget. People do that all the time. So what you do is you open your folder and then take the information out one at a time. This is a copy of the MLS. Remember when we sent this to you? This is a copy of your property on Trulia. This is a copy on Zillow. This is a copy of your property on Century21.com, Century21Masters.com. This is on my website. This is a copy of ads that we run. This is a copy of the flyer we've done on the property, etc., etc., etc. So you keep stacking them. Then you bring out the comps. And you show them what's going on in the marketplace, what's happened since the last time you did the comps with them. These are the properties that are active. These are the properties that are sold. These are the properties that have expired. This is what's going on with the marketplace. This is the price I recommend that'll get your home sold. They can't say, what have you done for me anymore? You've already asked them why they're selling. You're either going to get, okay, let's sit and talk about it. Okay, I don't want to go that much, let's go this much. Or no, and anyone is fine, right? Say yes.
Yes.
Do you guys get where I'm going with this?
Yes.
Now, if you did every single listing like this, two things will happen. A, you get to keep your listings longer. Your clients will love you more.